Alright, I'm moving through these receivers today, trying to figure out what's going on with them. So Pioneer SX1000TA. These are my favorite, this is my favorite series of Pioneer receivers. They go, and this isn't necessarily like the actual lineup, but you have the 1000TA, 1000TD, which is my personal favorite, 1000TW, the dial face changes on the 1000TW, and then there's a 1500T, which is nice as well. So this one, no power, no lights, no sound, no power. So what we're going to do is slide this out of the case, and to do that, we've got 4 of these, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. I'm going to take off and then slide this out. There should be a metal case on the receiver itself, and I'm going to move the camera up top so we can take a look at the inside. Hey, well, you learn something new every day. I didn't realize this had a tube in the, but I assume that's FM section? Yeah, I didn't know that. Alright, so, you know, I have pulled the fuse, and I'm not opposed to popping another one in, but this one looks to be fine, and right, if I test it with my multimeter, I get a beep. Popping a new one in probably won't do anything. I will, just for the hell of it. We should have a bunch of 2 amp fuses here somewhere. Let's see. Fuses. Where am I keeping this? Let's see. 6 amp, 3 amp, 6 amp, 2 amp. Again, I'll throw one in there just for the heck of it. And I think this is the only fuse. I think this is the only fuse on this receiver. Then I'm also going to check a couple of things. So first, let's look to see new fuse, power on, nothing. On the unswitched outlet in the back, I am getting oh wait, is that switched? Let's see. No, on the unswitched I'm getting 121 volts AC. On the switched, I'm getting 119 volts AC. Oh, now I'm getting a light. I'm getting a light right here. Whoa, what the heck? So I don't know if you can see this, but before, oh, now the light is, oh, the light's on. The light that's on, oh yeah. Yeah, I actually got lights now. That's so weird. So I'm gonna stop the video here, and I want to talk about what we just saw in the video. I didn't catch that until I was editing the video, but notice how I replace the fuse, I turn it on, I see a light here, then I move the receiver like this, and there's a pop. It sounds like a pop or a snap noise. And then the lights come on over here. So I wanted to grab this. This was down at the shop. I wanted to grab this and look at it because, you know, I'm thinking that's, what the heck was that? Like, what would cause that? And I have been through this thing. I've been looking, trying to find a plausible explanation for that, and I cannot find one. So I cannot, the only thing I could think of that may possibly have been happening, and even looking at this now, I don't see where, well, maybe. The only thing I can think of is one of these screws. If you look, the screws that hold the bottom in place, they're all different lengths. The only thing I can think of is that one of these screws was in the wrong position. It was grounding something out. Because I can't see anything else that would cause that. I mean, I went through the top. I've looked at this thing for like 20 minutes now, and I just can't see anything that jumps out at me that might cause it to do that. Like, for instance, if this screw was here, it would actually make contact with the jumper that goes from, and I'll show you the jumper I'm talking about. So see that little post there that goes from 115 volts to, it's probably 240, right? And I can't really, this right here. Now, if there was a screw that was of the wrong length, it would actually make contact with that there. So I really can't see anything, and I can't really think of any other explanation for that behavior. So I'm really not sure what would cause it to do that, but as the second I saw that, I wanted to grab this and look at it to make sure there was nothing that jumped out. Nothing that I could see that would cause it to do that, because I thought that was weird. I had to watch it a few times, like, did I just see what I thought I saw? Like, I heard a pop. It almost sounded like somebody flipped a switch, and then the lights came on. And I'll have to also review the video, see if I have any footage of the bottom, because I want to see where these screws were, because there are places that the screws should go. So like these flat screws, the little short ones, they go in where the feet would go if this was going to be sitting outside of the wooden case. And then the longer screws, right, these go in the middle positions on the side, and then the case actually screws into these openings here. So anyway, I'm going to get back to the video and go through what I did. Now, well, I won't do it now, but one thing I don't think I mentioned in the video when I was tracing the problem that I was trying to fix, was that these boards, as I was removing components, traces were lifting left and right. So a lot of the components that I had to replace, I almost had to go point to point. I tried adjusting the heat on my soldering iron, or my solder sucker, my solder remover, and that did not have any effect. The traces were just coming right off. So not on all components, but there were more than would normally happen. So anyway, if you're working on one of these, just be very careful, right? And I was trying to be as careful as I could when I was doing that. So anyway, I'm going to button this back up. I mean, again, nothing jumped out. The only thing I can think of was maybe a bad, screw in the wrong spot. I can't really come up with any other explanation for why that would happen. Oops, this is on backwards. So, let's get back to your regularly scheduled troubleshooting on this. 0 on the right. Alright, I'm going to play around with this off camera. I'm just going to do the knobs and switches and see if I can figure out where I might be losing sound. I'm also going to try the other inputs, see if maybe it's just an FM thing. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know that this was tube. I think that's neat. Alright, so let me fart around with this for a little bit and come back and let you know what I find. Well, this is going to be a wild goose chase. couple of things. So right channel, none of the inputs. I'm not getting right channel on any of the inputs. I pulled the service manual, but none of the boards, none of the board names, nomenclature, titles, whatever you want to call them, labels match up. So for example, this is AM9147A. That doesn't appear anywhere on this service manual. If I look at the other side of the board, there is no, it's just AM9174A. So the schematic the schematic will have like WS, you know, W15-007 or, you know, whatever. So none of these boards match up to the schematic. So that blows. So that means what I'm going to have to do is trace the signal throughout the boards and figure out where the signal is coming in and where it's dropping off. I believe this is what I would consider the preamp section. Oh, and then the service manual doesn't have any pin numbers, board numbers, connection. I mean, it has board numbers that don't correspond to this, but no like pin numbers like pin 12, pin 2. Here's what the voltage should be here. So this is literally going to be a wild goose chase. So, and this is how today has been. So I think I might just quit with this one. I've cleaned all the switches and pots. I've fed a signal through. And just for the hell of it, I'll turn it on. You can hear it. Once it does its thing, you'll hear it going boop. So there's the left channel signal. So, and basically what I'm going to have to do is take a probe and figure out where I can find this signal, where it goes into a board and where it doesn't leave a board. And again, I don't know what, I can kind of guess, like this is the tone control board, I would guess, given its location. This, I'm not sure what this is. See, and I've worked on 1000 TDs and TWs, and this is nothing like those. This is completely different. So, you know, and I can hit these switches and see if I can trace the signal. Is it a bad switch? I mean, I've exercised all of these switches, and yeah, and nothing. So I'm thinking it's getting lost in one of the boards. I mean, I'll probably pull the output. You know, I'll do all the basic troubleshooting steps, but first I want to see if I can even find this signal and develop some kind of signal path through here, and then look at the schematic and see if I can make it make any sense at all. So I don't know if this is like an overseas spec because it has different board numbers on it. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't have any earthly idea. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea at all. So this may be one I set aside and save for a time where I don't have a dozen, you know, well, not a dozen, half a dozen receivers and 5 turntables on the bench, because we're in the queue waiting to get on the bench, because I just don't have the time to spend a whole lot of time on this. I'm going to give about another hour today, and or maybe half hour, and see if I can at least start to trace this signal through the receiver. So, man, today's just not a good day for this kind of stuff. So, all right, sorry about the annoying noise here, but I'm doing this and trying to trace this at the same time. So I think I have it narrowed down to this tone control board. So if we look at the volume control, and I go this green wire here, the white portion, I get a signal on my scope. This yellow wire here, if I look at the volume control, I have a signal. If I go to the board where, right, the other end of this green shrouded, or the white wire shrouded in green goes into the board, I get a signal. If I go where the yellow wire, the shrouded white wire shrouded in yellow goes into the board, I get a signal, but I lose it coming out of the board on pins 2, right? So this is left channel, This is right channel. I should have a signal on both these. I have a signal here, no signal there. So I believe the issue's on this board. At least that's what I'm going with right now. So I'm going to power this down, unscrew this board, flip it up, see if I can ID a component that may be bad here. But that's all I got. And I had to go all the way from just tracing the wire, no signal. You know, I had to go from here to here to here, and then into the switches, and then through the potentiometers. And that's the only lead I have so far, is that there is no signal, right? So the channel that I am worried about, just to confirm, right? I had signal here, no signal here, right? Because this is right and this is left. This was good. So I've got to kind of figure out what's going on within this board here in the circuitry. Turn on my soldering iron and my desoldering gun. See if I can figure this out. All right, problem solved. Now I'm going to recap this board, but I did not want to just shotgun it because I don't like doing that, and I like to learn. So here's what I had to do. So I showed you signal coming into the board, signal leaving the board. So I basically had to trace the signal path through here, and it narrowed it down to, I was getting signal here. I need to clean this up a little bit. Signal here, no signal here. Signal here, no signal here. Signal here, no signal here. But I was getting signal all the way around this, except for a 1 microfarad 25 volt capacitor. This is, when I put it on my component tester, it doesn't even recognize it as a component. So I'm pretty sure it's shorted, because now, and all you're going to hear is the tone, but now if I, oh, where's my volume? Oh, I turn my signal generator and I can go, this is upside down, so that's right channel, and I was missing that before, and now I have left channel. Now, while I have this out, I'm going to go ahead and recap this board. I mean, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's like a dozen caps. So, and I'm going to change out the 1 microfarad capacitor on the other side as well. I'll do those first because those are the biggest pain. But, in fact, I can leave that out. I'm going to switch over to FM. And let's see what I get. Oh yeah, that sounds good. All right. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do at this point is, what time is it? I only got about an hour, so I'll probably pick this up tomorrow, which again has no meaning to you because I'm just going to film this as either one segment or a couple of segments. So I'm gonna recap this board. These transistors are, I'm gonna make sure they're not on the, you know, replace if you see them transistor list, the bad transistor list, and recap this board. And then I'm gonna figure out what I want to do with this. I originally bought this to take to 402 vinyl. I probably won't recap the whole thing because I don't want to. You know, this was one I just got to kind of repair and then move on down the road. But, you know, I've said that before and I've ended up recapping the whole thing. So I don't know what I'm going to do here. I think at this point I'm going to at least get this board done. Do some other tests. There are no adjustment procedures. I know how to do an adjustment on a cap coupled receiver. Well, at least I know where to find the information on how to do that. But when I measured the voltage at the outputs, I was getting roughly half the voltage on, well, I'll talk about that in the next segment when I get to a point where I think this is kind of done. So anyway, that was a good little expedition. Took me about an hour to track that down. So total time going from everything to narrowing it down to that one bad capacitor. So anyway, yeah, next segment I'll let you know what the plan is for this, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I actually have some old lamps that I pulled out of another unit, and I'm installing them just to see, to make sure all of these sockets are working. I mean, I could do this by testing voltages, but heck, why not put some lamps in here I've just got laying around. So I want to show you how these lamps go in here. So there's the clip that holds the lamp on, and you can slide this clip like so right off of that little post. Now there is some paint to hold that lamp in place, so you may want to take a razor blade and just kind of score it a little bit to loosen it up, but I popped the other two out. The one on this side was barely lit, the other one was dead, and I was just able to unscrew those. So you do this with the top and the bottom. The bottom bulb, or the bottom lamp on this right side, the post is sitting underneath the lamps. I don't know if you can see that or not. So it's a little bit harder to get to with that, with the tuner flywheel there. And then, I'm not sure, same thing with this one. I think it slides off as well, because that one is out. That's for the tuning dial indicator. So anyway, I'm going to go through and replace these with some old lamps, and the lamps are threaded like this. I'm going to buy a kit from D-Wojo off of Audio Karma, but for right now I'm going to put new lamps in this, at least to, I don't know, get it working. I can fart around with this unit in the garage. So I'm pretty sure those came out of my 1000 TD, because I put new lamps in that one. So anyway, that's what I'll be doing, replacing all these lamps. And I think this one is good, the one underneath is bad. So I'm going to need two more of those lamps. And then the stereo indicator, I don't know if it's just a bad lamp or if there's a multiplexer issue, but anyway, I'll get to that when I get to it. So, yep, just doing the lamp replacement. I'll show it to you when I'm done. Alright, lamps have been installed, so power that on. So you can see the lamps in there. I'm still working on the stereo light. I got to figure out what's going on with that. Interesting thing is this may already be sold. There's an individual that goes to the shop that loves tube gear, and this is definitely unique, right? Unique tube gear. So, and he does his own work, or he has someone else do the work for him. So, yes, so this may be sold. I'm just kind of waiting to hear what he wants me to do with this, if anything else. So you may or may not see this in an upcoming video. I am going to work on the stereo light. If I get that work before we work out whatever the deal is, I will post that video. It's probably just a lamp that's out. So anyway, yeah, I did clean off the face, so you have to be very, very careful with the face stenciling on these, or it's not really etching, I think it's silk screen. So on this, or Sony receivers, Pioneer SX, like 34, 300, 1000 series receivers, you just use water and a microfiber cloth. I do use my Clorox wipes on, the stuff that doesn't involve any lettering. So yeah, it's a sweet little, it's a sweet receiver. It's pretty cool.
And our business
pretty cool.
Thanks to
Fairfield and Sweets,
so,
Scotts Bluff for business.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Right, so anyway, this may or may not be the last video you see on this. Like I said, it depends on what the potential customer wants to do with it. So, as always, if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Well, the FM stereo light actually works. So let me, I didn't have an antenna hooked up. So it's kind of bright in the garage, so you can't really see it, but if I go off, see how it's coming on and off? So I may look at the bulb just to see how bright that actually is, the lamp in there, but it is working. And you can tell, you can hear the difference in the sound between stereo and mono. So, and the tuning dial responded accordingly, right? So that's not lit, and that's lit. So anyway, yeah. So again, I'm gonna put this back in the case, unless the new potential owner wants anything done with it. Otherwise, you'll see me maybe doing some more recapping work on it, or doing some adjustments to it. But it'll all depend on what that owner, potential owner, I should say, wants to do. But we're pretty sure that this is probably going to move on to a new home. So anyway, if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe. Catch you in the next video.